This video started picking up some traction last week, and as any video that tends to get like over 500,000-ish views, once you hit a certain point, it is no longer going to your usual audience, it is going out to the general public, which meant that we got a lot of diverse, really neat conversations going on in the comments. So I kind of wanted to talk about that in this video. It seems like a really appropriate time of year for that. Now would be a really applicable time to talk about slow living, unconventional living, maybe old-fashioned living, and why you probably should consider doing that more. Times when it makes sense, times when it does not make sense, and kind of, I guess, an argument for why we do things this way. This is my video where I'm going to explain to you why we do things this way and why you may or may not want to do the same. A lot of the commenters said things along the lines of, I wish I knew how to do this, or where do you learn how to do this? Is this something you have to be born into, or can you learn it later on? The answer is yes, you can learn this later on. I made this channel exactly for that. If you go through, you will find a ton of how-to videos, which to the normal person might seem boring, but if you're actually interested, it is like super full of that information. So I hope I'm helpful there for you. The other comments though were things like, isn't this way more expensive than doing things the conventional way? Or I wish I could quit my job to do this. Or this is stupid. Is your time worth nothing? Very valid. I will get into that. Isn't this just pretending to be Amish? I will also get into that. So the biggest question or critique was, isn't this more expensive than just going to the store and getting what you need? And it really depends. It depends on your context. For us, no, this is like way cheaper. So let me explain that. We bought our place in 2020 before COVID really affected pricing. So we were able to buy our 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on all of our acreage for the upper 200s. If you are looking for something like that now, gonna be a little bit harder. But as that ties into the video I made, we live really far out. There is no one except for our wonderful, amazing neighbors to plow our road. This is not something that the county or the state plows. We do not have mail delivered here. We have to go 10-ish miles. I don't know. It's like 10-ish miles to the post office to go pick up our mail every time we want mail. Same thing for sending things out. There are inconveniences. We're on the north side of a mountain, so the sun sets in late November and doesn't rise until mid-ish January. There are drawbacks to where we live, which contributes to the slow living, doing things a little bit unconventional, doing things a little bit more of the hard way, I guess you could say. So yeah, if you are willing to put up with more inconveniences, things are going to be cheaper, but you do have to find that equilibrium where you're not going to be totally miserable between those two things. If your payment is really high, you are going to be super unhappy. But if your payment is really low and you are just miserable doing all the things that it takes to upkeep that place, also not a good option. So you have to find something that is really balanced and is going to make you and your family happy and makes sense for you and your lifestyle. So land aside, which that is the largest contributing factor to if this is sustainable for you or not, or really will make sense for your family. You can move on to the smaller things, most of which are things that even if you live in an apartment, you can do. So if the land is out of the question for you for now, which like, don't feel bad if it is, because land is crazy high right now. If you don't have that, there are other homesteading related things you can do that do not require you to have land, so lean into those. So instances where this is cheaper. I talked about my Deer Tallow soap. I think that is around $13 to make 10 years worth of soap. It is really low. In that video I said that Dove bars are like $1 each. I used to pick some up from my neighbor at Costco that you could get like 20 or 24 bars for $20 or $24. So yeah, even if you are getting bars of soap for $1 each, which I know is pretty low, yeah, doing it yourself, much cheaper. Cooking most of our meals from scratch, some people are not on board with that. I get it. If you're in town and you have 14, 15-hour days at work, you might want to come home and DoorDash something. I'm not going to fight you on that or say your way is wrong, but I will say that doing things homemade from scratch really saves money. For our family of 4, it is about $500 a month for us to eat very, very well. Is it inconvenient sometimes? Sure. Do I do a lot of dishes because we don't have a dishwasher? Yes. But I do think it's worth it, and I really like the quality of food that it affords us for doing that. If we wanted to do something that was like pre-packaged or pre-made, or if we were buying from a restaurant all the time, that would be so high. So $500 a month, like $125 per person per month, awesome. I'm so happy with that. I have videos on how we process deer. I have videos on making deer tallow soap. I have videos on our grocery haul showing you exactly what we're buying for around $500 a month. That includes things like laundry detergent and toilet paper. In that video, I also showed myself pulling grass for my rabbits. I do that all summer. I'm not doing it this year, but in the years past, I have built up a surplus, made hay, all by hand without a tractor, mind you, and put that away in our woodshed for the rabbits, and that got us through till like December-ish. So when I say free feed for our rabbits, I mean like actually free feed. Last week I made a video showing you exactly how to do that yourself. If you want to know how to formulate feed that you're purchasing or using grains, I also have a how to feed your rabbits without the feed store video. So there are ways that you can actually make your feed free. I really don't like raising chickens for meat. I raise them for eggs. I keep what I need. The roosters we butcher. I genuinely hate processing chickens. I will never raise chickens. I am not ashamed to go to the store and buy chicken because I hate it. I hate raising it. So yeah, the old hens, sure. The roosters, sure. I butcher those. It's not enough to sustain us for the year if we like wanted chicken all the time. Rabbits have mostly completely erased our chicken though. So rabbits are just a great solution. They're so easy for us up here in northwestern Montana where we have short summers. It's much easier to grow grasses than it is to grow a lot of grains, especially at our elevation. So rabbits are great. Yeah, you can get rotisserie chickens at Costco, things like that, as low as $5. Now it doesn't cost $5 to raise a chicken. There's no way that I could raise a chicken for just $5 or raise a rabbit if I wasn't out here pulling weeds myself. So $5 is really, really cheap. That is subsidized by the other things that people who come in the store to buy that meat end up buying. So they come in for the $5 rotisserie, and then they pick up laundry detergent, and then they pick up maybe a ready-made meal, things like that. So that subsidizes that chicken that got them in the door to make them spend $200 or $300 elsewhere. So on the very, very low end, I'm going to say it saves us $5 per rabbit, and up on the high end, if you want to have a whole rabbit like butchered and then shipped to you frozen, it's like $50 a rabbit. They are crazy expensive. Yeah, so anywhere between $5 and like $50-ish each animal. You decide what you think that's actually worth. When you get into doing things the slow way and on your own for building projects, this really adds up. So for example, our chicken coop we built for the price of screws. The rabbit hutch was around $30. The bigger rabbit hutch was around $150. If you wanted to buy that chicken coop from the store ready to go, you're probably looking at $2,000. The first rabbit hutch, probably $200 or $300. The second one, probably $500 or $600. So several $100s there. And then we move over to our greenhouse that we built. It is 16 feet wide, 40 feet long, and then 20 feet tall at the highest point. That greenhouse has cost us right at $1,000 to finish. I'm going to bump that up to like $1,200-ish just because I've got some hardware and things I would like to get to add to it. But you can finish it for about $1,000-ish because we used our own hardwood. We traded with the neighbor to use their mill. So really all we bought were the greenhouse panels. We salvaged the tin that went on top so that way I can insulate just part of the roof, not the whole thing, but the very top of the roof. We bought our screws. We bought the hardware, those long lag bolts. We bought those. For the most part though, this is stuff that came from our land and we used our own labor to produce. I just looked online to see how much a greenhouse would be. If you wanted one that was like glass or polycarbonate on both sides, which tends to be a little bit cheaper, yeah, $30,000. If you want a deep winter greenhouse kit, kind of like what we have with the wood stove and everything, that I saw some for like $60,000. I couldn't even believe that. I don't know if that's like luxury or what, but like $30,000 to $60,000, and we built it for about $1,000. It's going to be closer to $1,200 soon. So huge savings there. Yes, it did take us a full year to build, but we really enjoyed the process, and I love knowing that I know where each one of those boards came from. I know it came from this tree that stood over by this pond, or it came from over here by the house, and taking that tree down inevitably protected our house more from wildfire dangers. So I really appreciate that. I think it's cool. So well worth it in my eyes. Another ongoing project I have right now is my horse corral. I started out as 80 by 50. I've bumped it up to 100 by 50 because I can't leave well enough alone. So it is 100 feet long, 50 feet wide. let's see, I'm estimating really high here. I'm saying that I've got $100 in screws in it. I don't think I do. I think it's closer to 50, but I'm going to say 100. I've got $20 in gas for my chainsaw, $200 for gates, which I have not put up, but they're out there. $30 for the draw blade, so that way I could scrape the bark off my post. So $350 to build this big arena. Whereas if I had paid someone else to come in with their logs and their labor to do it, it would be around $18,000. The other ongoing project that I am doing completely by myself because my husband is working a lot is the perimeter fence. It is 2,400 feet. That is the square. Later on, I will make it into a track system. I'm going to add a picture of that so you know what I'm talking about. But a track system is basically double fencing so that way your horses can run and have a dry lot that is just a thin little strip, maybe 12 feet wide. And then you can protect all of your pasture on the inside and then rotationally graze that. So keeps your horses moving, and then it protects your grass so that way you can regeneratively graze that. We have rough, hilly, very rocky soil. It's a real pain in the butt to do. It would be around $6 per foot to have that professionally installed, so around $14,400. So far, since I'm doing this all myself, I have spent around $200, and I will probably spend, all right, this is where it gets tricky. So I've spent $200 so far. If I went to the store tomorrow and bought all of this brand new to finish it out, it would be around $1,200 to finish that. If I continue at the same spending rate though of looking on Facebook Marketplace and hunting out good deals, it's going to cost me around $368 to finish. So we're almost halfway there, and it's really, really low. So I'm saving at least $10,000, maybe more. We deer hunt every year, and that costs us around $30 per deer to process here at home instead of taking it in somewhere. I think in this area it's like $60-ish to $100-ish a deer to have them process it for you. It might be more than that now. I don't know. If you know what the processing rate is in your area, please let me know. I'd love to know. I'd love to hear that from you. So yeah, $30 per deer. That gets us anywhere between 30 and 65 pounds of meat, usually with the bow and arrow. Most of the times with a rifle, we get 65, but if you really blow out 2 shoulders or something like that, you're getting closer to 30 pounds per deer. So on that note, it's around 46 cents to $1 per pound. Our hunting license, I didn't check this. I think it's around $128. There's like the general, and then you can add your B tags and stuff. I think it's around $120, $130-ish. So including that is like $1.46 to $2 a pound. So still really cheap. Yeah, that's affordable. It's worth it in our eyes. We enjoy spending the evening together. The last winter when we did our deer, we were watching the Northern Lights. It was really special, really cool moment. And that was our first year that we got to use the tractor to hoist up the deer. So before we had just kind of laid it on the ground, and we built this very ugly tractor shed, and we hoisted it up in our little tractor shed and did that. And then we tan our hides for the rabbits. For the deer, it cost me around $1 per rabbit. I think the deer is like $6, maybe $8. I don't know. I think it's $6 to $8 for the deer. If you had that professionally done for the rabbit, that would be $10 to $17. If you had someone professionally do a deer, that could be $100 to like $200-ish, depending on where you're at, who your guy is. So yeah, that saves us quite a bit there. And if you wanted to just outright buy a hide and not raise the animal at all, you're looking at $25 to $30 for a rabbit, probably about the same for a deer, like $100 to $200. They don't care that it's your deer. So yeah, it's about the same for a deer if you kill it and bring it to them yourself, or if you just go buy one. So homesteading really saves money. The key here is to find things that you enjoy that are worth it to you. So if you absolutely hate digging fence posts, or you're not someone who's already focused on getting in your steps and working out and lifting weights, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. I get it. But for me, I enjoy it. These things are fun for me, so I'm doing it, and I love seeing what that saves my family as well. The other question I got a lot was, is your time just not worth anything? Yes, it is, but not every single moment of your life has to be monetized. I know I am saying that from a place of privilege, so some people really do just have to work like all the time. They don't have time for that. I get that. But I work outside the home 45 hours a week right now. My husband is at 75 hours a week. That does not include his commute. So he is not doing these things with me in the evening. I have more time because I'm only working like normal full-time job hours. So I can do that. He doesn't have the time for it. That's why he's not helping me with the corral. That's why he's not helping me with the fence right now. He totally would if I asked him to. I know he would give up his weekends. I don't want to do that. So, yeah, for me, my options are, I mean, I could come home from my job and sit down and watch Netflix or play games, or I don't know, just be in the house, just not do anything, consume, I guess, which there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with reading a good book, but I feel like I would have a really miserable life if every moment had to be monetized or truly relaxing, like actually putting my feet up on the couch. I don't think I would be happy that way. I guess the part that is difficult for other people to understand is that this is enjoyable to me, which if you haven't been able to do it yourself, you may not understand why it's enjoyable, but it is for me. So this is my hobby. So while you're paying to go to the movies, or you're paying to go ski, or watch Netflix, or go out to dinner, which are things that cost money, I'm at home saving money, feeling really happy, just being out, enjoying the day, listening to my chickens, listening to the goats. My kids are usually around me. That is enjoyable for me. Most of my hobbies do not make money, with the exception of like YouTube and writing. Freelance writing is profitable. Most of the things I do, though, do not generate an income. But on the bright side, at least they save a little bit. Now, are there moments where it hails on my tomatoes, or I hit a rock when I'm digging holes and I get really frustrated? Yeah, all the time. It happens. But I do think that just a little bit of adversity is good for your brain, and once you take the time and actually sort through that issue, or at least for me, I feel way better and I go to bed feeling good. I really do. So I need a little bit of scratchiness, of a little bit of adversity issue throughout my day to feel good. A common statement I got was, I wish I could quit my job to do what you do. We haven't quit our jobs to do what we do. We're doing our jobs and doing this. My husband is working 75 plus hours a week, with a 2 to 3-ish hour commute every day. I'm working 45 hours a day outside of the home. That does not include what I do here on our little homestead. That does not include my freelance work as a writer, or my passion projects like building corrals and building fence and working on the greenhouse for just like 2, maybe 3 hours in the afternoon when I have the time. Would it be really cool to quit our jobs and just do this all the time? Sure. But since that's not an option, I don't want to give up the things that we love just because we don't have as much time for it. So we'll just give it maybe 2 to 4 hours every day when we can, sometime on the weekend, and I'm so happy with that. I love it, and it gives me a reason to wake up happy and not feel bad when I go to bed tired. Like I really love it, and it's worth it to us. Slowness and stillness is very necessary for your happiness and your sense of self, because if you don't have time to just sit in your own mind and think about your values and think about what you want to do and think about the things you've done and just be with yourself, what do you have? On top of that, if you don't have moments to just think, then you're going to be easily tricked and manipulated. We're all exposed to propaganda. Like, that is not something that can be argued. We really are all exposed to propaganda, but we need the time to sit and think with ourselves and dig deeper than just these really annoying surface level platitudes that we hear all day, especially when we're on social media. If you have time to just sit and really think about things and really dig into things and the nuance and the details, you are going to be in a much better position, both mentally and just surviving the world in general. Now, to really briefly reference our jobs, which I just mentioned, if it wasn't for the downtime, or it's not necessarily downtime, but just the slowness, pounding fence posts, you have time to think. Digging holes, you have time to think. Pulling weeds for your animals, you have time to think. Hand grinding your coffee doesn't really serve any other purpose than the coffee tastes delicious and it's slightly cheaper. But that gives you time to think. And that time to think has given us the opportunity to come up with exit plans from our jobs to say, I want to do this with my income. I want to do this with it. I think I can build it into this, which is going to generate more income. And then eventually we can leave our jobs. Another common observation I heard a lot was that you are just pretending to be Amish, which cracked me up, honestly. We don't have a horse and buggy. I've got an old truck. We have our newest vehicle is a 2016, so still not new by any means. The oldest is a 96, so not new. But no, we're not trying to do things with horse and buggy. I'm not trying to mine for the minerals that I need to build my shovel so I can go dig holes for my horse barn or for my corral or for the greenhouse. I'm not trying to like do away with modern society. We like our vaccines. We like modern medicine. If we get sick, I would love to be able to go get antibiotics. I'm not like condemning the modern world or anything like that. The funny part about that though is that if we were Amish, this would honestly be so much easier. Look, the Amish work extremely hard, but they have community, which is like the thing that most people are missing, especially when they're looking at historical things. People assume that pioneers just like lived alone and they were super self-sufficient and they didn't need anyone, and that's not true. There was barn raisings. They lived very similar to the Amish. In the colonial times, and pioneers, your Old West pioneers, when it was time to harvest, everyone would go to this farm first and they would help this farmer, and then when they got finished with this farmer, they would move to this farm, and it just cycled through. It wasn't this farmer trying to get everything done by himself and this farmer trying to get everything done by himself. It was a community effort. Everyone worked together on this. Same thing with your ranching, which was just a really short blip in American history, but it wasn't just like one guy trying to do everything. There was a whole group, a whole community of people working on this together. I actually blame a lot of that mentality on Laura Ingalls Wilder's daughter, who heavily edited her story because she didn't want it to look socialist or communist at the time. So she took out a lot of the community building and a lot of the community-minded things that happened because she didn't want to feed into that narrative. So a lot of people nowadays have a completely skewed idea of what history actually looked like and how much people needed each other and how much they leaned on each other to get things done. If we were Amish, we would have a strong community and we would not be paying taxes. So yeah, being Amish would be easier. We are working on our sense of community. I have not been nearly as involved with my friends and neighbors as I wanted to be. We're working on that. It is getting better. I'm happy for that. We have some of the best people in the world in our little corner here. I love it here. I'm very grateful for the people we have. So we're working on that, but again, like our sense of community is still not there. It's still not as strong as Amish or even pioneer-esque things. I did see the comment that we were LARPing quite a bit. I did not know what that was, so I had to look up LARPing. It is live action roleplay, LARP. Still don't really understand this one. Let's see, I did write something down on this because this is our full-time lifestyle. This isn't something that we like jump into on the weekends. Like if we had a place in the city during the week and then we came out here on the weekend, yeah, I would get that. I'm not wearing a costume. I'm not wearing a persona. I'm not super fancy here. I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm the same on camera as in person. People who've met me know that. I'm like the same. We're not using props. Everything we use is like very utilitarian. It's not always very aesthetic. Our friends could also tell you that too. We're not very aesthetic. I guess people came to this conclusion because I could stop everything, like we could sell everything and live a completely different life. But I mean, I think everyone could do that. A blacksmith could stop taking strips of iron and turning them into horseshoes. He could do away with the fire and just buy horseshoes and then up his prices. Nuns could quit the convent and run off to Miami and dance on a tabletop if she wanted to. Everyone is capable of changing what we do at some point. There are limits to it, but if we wanted to stop, we could stop. I don't think that means that we're pretending. We did have some well-meaning people who were really concerned because I wasn't using a backhoe to dig out our fence posts and stuff. We did use a backhoe on 3 of the 10 greenhouse poles. So we dug, we had to go down 6 feet because that's where our frost line is. It's so far down. We used our tractor. We tried an auger. I made a video on that. We tried an auger. We tried our tractor bucket. We did a lot by hand. And honestly, doing it by hand was faster than the tractor bucket. It was just a process. We're up in the Rocky Mountains. We're high elevation. There are big rocks. You don't know if you're going to get something that's softball sized or literally like a room of your house sized rock. So there are struggles there. But I'm saying that I don't have anything against an excavator or a backhoe or anything like that. But here's the thing. I have to dig 25 posts out for my corral. I'm over halfway there. I might be 3/4 of the way done now. That's really exciting. But I've got a lot of that done already, and I have not done it with any machinery. Here's why. I could borrow or rent on the weekends, but if I did that, it's not a fast process. It still took several hours for my neighbor to dig that out with his excavator, and he knows what he's doing. He's very quick with it. He's skilled. We just have to fight with the rocks. So it's not a fast process. It's not like something, if you rent machinery, you're going to knock it out in a few hours or even a day. If I get that on my place, I need to use it fast, and then I could get it back to whoever I'm renting or borrowing or trading to borrow that from. That's not something you want to keep it over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks. So you need to knock that out quickly. Our summers, our time without snow is really short up here. That's precious time. And I like to spend our weekends doing fun things with my husband and our kids, because he works, that 75 hours that he gets is 5 days a week. He is off 2 days a week, and so am I, and so are the kids. So that time is really precious to us, and we don't want to be out there working on that together. That's my joy. That's my love. I want to do that on my time. I don't want to dig into that fun time. Like, yeah, we're just spending time with our kids. We're enjoying them. They like to go paddle. They like to go fish. We want to save that time for that. So instead, I just work a couple hours every weekday after work. During that time, my kids want to come in. They want to eat dinner. I will make them food. I skip dinner. I eat a little more during breakfast and lunch right now. I skip dinner. I come outside and I work. Right now I'm also skipping my workouts, which is weird. So I'm not lifting weights right now. I will pick that back up in maybe a month or two, but instead this out here is my exercise, and because of that, I'm not really worried about getting hurt. I'm using correct form. I'm already in shape for it. So my kids eat. If they want, they can come outside and they can play and they ride their bikes around me while I'm working. Sometimes they come inside, they get a bath, they will read. Might watch some movies or TV. They'll hang out with Dad for just a little bit. He's got to get himself a shower and eat, and then go to bed pretty quickly because he is working a lot right now. He won't so much in the winter, but he is working a lot of hours right now. I have the time to do 2 to 4 hours in the evening, so that's what I do. So I guess the key components to that are staying in shape, wanting to do it, and just finding the time that works best for you and your family. And it's just a sense of pride. I like having it done. I like knowing that I did that. I like knowing that I picked out every tree and we cut down every tree and I hauled those trees by hand and then I scraped the bark off and I put it in. I just want to be able to look at a finished product and say that I did that. The last aspect of this is inflation. It just seems to keep getting worse, and I think it's gonna get worser. So it's important to me that we're not just spending every dollar we make. I don't want to do that. That is not a good feeling. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure, especially because I have kids. So yeah, don't spend every little dollar you make. If you can do some things yourself to save and make sure that you have a little bit left over, that's awesome. I had someone very well-intentioned, might I add, I want that to be clear, say that I should just get a credit card or a line of credit, something like that, so I could finish my corral and my perimeter fence, and then I could just pay it back over the winter. I could do that, I guess, but I don't like that kind of commitment of having to pay that back. I don't like that uncertainty. That's just how my brain works. I'd rather do it myself very slowly in the summer while it's still possible to do that while the ground's not frozen, and then the money that I earn this winter from my full-time job, I would like to put back to maybe get us a guest cabin. Again, looking ahead and trying to find other ways that we can keep things progressing and create other streams of income without hurting ourselves or putting ourselves at risk with debt or credit cards. My husband has always been really, really stable with his jobs. I'm very grateful to him for that. But last winter, Trump got elected on the 5th. Everyone started panicking about the tariffs, rightfully so, right after that. And within a week, they laid off most of his office. And there were several months where he could not get work. And that was the first time ever in our lives that we've experienced knowing what it's like to really want to work and have absolutely nothing available to you. That really does something for your psyche, and it's a good motivation to get it together and really start working towards having passive income or building what passive income you have. So that's kind of our focus right now. That's why I am not willing to take on debt to finish silly, frivolous things like horses, because let's be honest, unless our guest cabin, unless we start doing guided tours, which someday I would love to do that, the horses are not going to be beneficial to us financially in any way until that point. So it does not make sense to me to just pour all this money into a hobby. I'd rather do it the slow way and do it correctly, and then whatever profit we do generate someday, several years from now, is pure profit. We're not paying back some massive soul-crushing loan. So to wrap this video up nicely, put in a little pretty package for you, the main points here are that you should slow down when you can, when it is enjoyable for you, and when it makes sense for your family. If something brings you joy, you should make time for it. Not every moment needs to be monetized, and some people won't get what you're doing, and that's okay. You can be the sweetest apple on the tree, and some people don't like apples. So don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what they think. I know that is easier said than done, but most people aren't thinking about you. I mean that in the kindest way possible. They're just not thinking about what you're doing. You might give them like 2 minutes of conversation, which is honestly a benefit for them, because if they're talking about you, they probably don't have anything else going on. So that's your gift to them. Don't worry about what they're thinking. Enjoy your life. Make time for yourself. Make time to live inside your brain, because like I said before, if you don't have time to be inside your mind, if you don't have control over your mind, then what do you really have? I'm sure you've got some projects or things in your mind that you've been thinking on. I really hope that this video clarified some of that for you, made it easier for you to decide what you're going to do from here on out. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you again next Monday. Bye!